Hello, and welcome back to another Norland news video, as patch 28 was released on Friday. We also haven't gone over patch 27 yet, as there weren't enough changes between these two patches to warrant their own videos individually. Patch 27 is a bit of a break from the Norland roadmap previously covered, as it doesn't feature anything mentioned there, but patch 28 does feature some of the promised changes and combined creates a nice change to the experience. As always, I'll link the Steam announcements for the patches in the description so you can read along. Before we get started, if you have been watching my content for a while and haven't subscribed, please consider doing so now, as well as ringing the bell icon so you can be notified on new uploads. With that out of the way, let's get into it. The first new feature in patch 27 is the ability to bribe bandits, which the AI can do as well. If the faction has -15 relation or lower with the player, they can bribe a bandit camp in your province to attack either your village or your city. The player can do the same with a cooldown of 2 days. On top of this, bandit camps can grow larger than before, although the exact extent of this is unclear. After a camp has reached a population of 8, they can begin to acquire light armor, and for each 10 population, they will receive a watchtower. Overall, these changes should make bandits less of a fodder for matriarch relation and easy cash. This could increase the difficulty for higher difficulty playthroughs, but I don't expect it to tip the scales too hard, except perhaps on hardcore difficulty. If you were already in a tough place in a save, this may make things much worse, but otherwise it may just lead to more auto-resolves due to the annoyance of squads trying to deal with these watchtowers. 7 out of 10 for me on these changes. It isn't a massive game changer, but it does improve on a feature that was beginning to feel a bit flat at times. Next up, we have a change to the offering to king mechanic. Instead of paying a flat 200 gold fee, you now essentially pay them a tribute of resources based on their culture. For offerings to Caden kings, it is 3 bows. For Macans, it is 7 medical salves. For Tanayans, it is 5 paper. For Varns, it is 10 flavorful ale. Things such as trade skill, starting difficulty, or relation don't appear to have much if any difference here. Another 7 out of 10 for me. This just feels like good sense. Even though it doesn't change the entire game, it does mean you have to stock up a certain culture's preferences before you can farm relation with them, as opposed to just throwing money at your problems, which is a common way to solve problems currently. That gets the main aspects of patch 27 out of the way, so let's quickly go over some of the more important balance changes. Lord recruitment from the Lord Ready to Leave event now costs rings dependent on their skill and difference in persuasion skills. Peace treaties now cost gold based on relation. Dynasty menu now displays deceased parents. Transferring soldiers in and out of army is faster. When price increases due to random change at the Holy Caravan, these prices will be increased by 1.5x instead of 2x. It does not appear to affect price increases from prophecies. Asking for donations now reduces loyalty by -30, with a stronger negative thought, and lasts for 12 days instead of 4. Bandits now always have the spirit of freedom negative thought when recruited into an army, and the penalty is -18. Bandits also sell for less as prisoners, and all prisoners' minimum price has been reduced from 50 to 25. City towers now only begin to appear after a population of 40 is achieved, with 1 per 20 population, instead of towers appearing for all cities from the beginning. You now start with 30 iron instead of 20. Writing books now cost paper relative to the knowledge level. 3 for gray books, 6 for green ones, and 9 for purple ones. On hardcore mode, hunting together gives a +12 instead of +17 bonus to relation, and the caravan will have a 9 to 16 trade skill instead of 3 to 11. That concludes the patch 27 changelog, so we'll shift focus to patch 28. The big theme of this update is the knowledge system. With the first change, neighbors now possess unique knowledges that you don't have, with a list of knowledges you can see by clicking on a neighboring city, clicking the information button, which is the middle tab, and scrolling down to the bottom. Neighboring lords with a large amount of knowledge can also receive the scholar trait to make them more noticeable. This ties back into the previous change by allowing you to use wise conversations to learn their knowledge, allowing a different way to obtain knowledge of a different culture without needing to learn its dictionary first. Overall, another 7 out of 10 change, which is starting to feel like a catch-all rating when I don't want to say that it isn't a massive improvement, but it does add variety. It's nice to have, but I find myself feeling that this is the sort of update that would be better suited to an update further in the early access process after more promised features have been added. The next change claims stealing books should have more strategic value but doesn't give specifics. I can only guess that knowledge wasn't being lost by lords of neighbor cities in the same way that they are for the player, and that this has now been accounted for. The action itself doesn't appear to have any direct change, and the developer hasn't given any additional information. Another variety update makes the most powerful cultural knowledges unavailable in the Holy Caravan, and only obtainable from neighbors or the book trading guest. This feels like it further decreases the point of the Holy Caravan, which already feels like a part of the game you are trying to rush to make obsolete from the moment you start your game, since you have to pay any army taxes whenever you trade with them. These two changes both get a 4 out of 10 for me. I genuinely dislike both of them because they feel like something that was done just to pad an update when development time could be better spent on a multitude of other things. These seem to take away from the game, although making book stealing better could help Tanea to not be such a terrible culture. On the other hand, gated knowledge can make it feel like an accomplishment to achieve some of the more advanced tech and make the late game a bit richer, which stops the rating from being worse here. Next up is incognito guests. These are characters with unknown stats and hidden agendas, both positive and negative. However, I was unable to get one of these guests to show up in my tests. It's possible that they are rare, or perhaps something went wrong and they've yet to actually be added in-game. Additionally, there is finally a key binding menu. You can change the bindings for a large number of things such as movement, zooming, game speed, and much more. 9 out of 10. This should massively improve accessibility for people on different keyboard layouts or just those used to using certain keys in similar games. Now we come to the final part of this update, which is a large number of new books to study. Unfortunately, at least in my opinion, all of these are what I'd call modifier books. Similar to a book like Correct Cutting that increases the amount of lumber received from cutting a tree down, these books modify yields from existing actions in the game, so there are no new technologies or anything like that. That said, these are mostly welcome additions, but I'll go through them quickly and rate at the end. For Macon books, Gray Contracts reduces church tax on trade contracts. Demand Expansion increases local demand for all goods. Narrow Font reduces paper consumption when writing books. For Tanean books, Sanctity of Power allows your king to receive a holy blessing with the matriarch if you have good relationships with them. Sophia's Protection grants your province the protection of the loving family for a few days if you have good relations with them. Apology of Divorce lowers the matriarch relation threshold for requesting a divorce. Repentance and Hatred allows repair relations between the Lord and all of their enemies if you have good relations between the Lord and Bishop. Faith Defender reduces the tax of your armies by 30%. For Keybinds books, A Fresh Start removes negative traits and thoughts from bandits you recruit into your army. Master of the Dagger gives a +5 to combat skill for warriors using a dagger. Ointment of Durability lowers the chance of weapons breaking by 5 times. Recruits, which increases the experience gained by warriors under level 5 in the trading ground. Hammer of Bandits gives a mood boost to warriors during battles against bandits. Overall, there are some nice books to have here. To me, the most obviously powerful one here is Faith Defender, since lower taxes means a higher use of the caravan, allowing you a much more diversified set of options. Normally, getting rid of trading through the caravan frees up a lot of your money, so cutting the taxes makes it more likely that I'll continue to use the caravan late in a game, making it the best for my purposes. Other books such as Gray Contracts or Demand Expansion have limited usefulness too, but mostly in the early to mid game when every gold piece counts. This means that they're only in practice likely to be useful for players using that specific culture though, since learning it from a neighbor will likely take some time. All in all, I have to give this a 6 out of 10. I like a lot of what's going on with this change, but I don't expect anything here to change how I play, besides Faith Defender. Overall, I'd give this entire update a very modest 6.5 out of 10. It includes enough here to be good enough to consider a holdover update, but it isn't something that is going to wow many people. Patch 28 also opens with an apology from the developer for delaying the release of City Walls due to alignment problems, so this does seem to be a series of updates to hold us over in the meantime, which I can't complain about too much. That's about all there is for me this time, although I did skip some minor changes. These were smaller updates than normal, as I mentioned before, and probably could have been contained in a more feature-packed update down the line, but it's of course always great to see how dedicated the development team is to the game with nearly weekly updates, even if not all of them are for me. One final note, consider subscribing and liking the video if you're getting anything valuable from my channel. I'll keep bringing these videos out if I see anything in the roadmaps or other communications from the developers that piques my interest. I thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.